no.
He's just sitting there being conscious of his consciousness.
Trying to.
Leave him alone. Okay.
I have more questions.
More questions.
If there's no more there.
Oh boy.
There's more. Yes. Okay.
There's more.
Let's go there.
Take the turn then.
I got you.
I tried to levitate, but he was too fast.
Oh, cheers. Okay. Get that first.
So, we've got a question from Devesh. It is now understood that we have to find out own way and do it ourselves, but as Guru, will it not be possible that we express our difficulties and seek your guidance?
That's great. Yeah, you can ask questions. That's what the forum is for. And you know, if it's too private, you can always email me or IM me on the site. We need individual instruction. I mean, that's very, very important. But I just want to let you know that the tools that are available are very sophisticated. We have quite a broad knowledge of many different processes and experience too. But we're always going to come back to chanting.
Question from David Lugan. What is the technique you used for Brahman realization?
I don't want to go into that right now. You can write me.
That's it.
Okay.
When you underwent this experience in 1984, and you read this in a book, The Secret of the Golden Flower, so these books, they would have presented this as the final destination or something of that sort. And did you know exactly where that was in terms of your spiritual advancement? In the sense, did you know what happened through the eyes of the Vedic scriptures?
Well, yeah. Basically, what happened is I removed the blocks, specifically the false ego. The false ego, ahankar, it resides in the ajnana chakra. And even if you can unify your energy and bring in all this identified consciousness and reunify, reabsorb those invested energies within yourself, you still have to deal with the false ego. And the value of this particular technique is that it specifically targets the false ego. And it does it in a way that's completely compatible with rasa. So it was very nice.
So you knew this process before you did it, as in that this is what I'm doing and this is what the result is going to be?
Yeah, I was reading it in a book and doing it.
Okay.
But it's like the process was going already anyway. And then the book just like brought out what was happening. That's why it indicated so strongly to me, and it seemed so like appropriate to me, because that was happening to me anyway. And it's like that, like the Nectar of Devotion is like that too. Was when I was in India, the last couple of times I was in India, like in the 80s, I was going through all these ecstatic symptoms and stuff. And I didn't understand what was going on. Nobody around me understood what was going on. So I had to study Nectar of Devotion very deeply in order to understand what was happening in my life. See? So that my life made sense to me. Because I was unwilling to accept my godbrother's analysis that I was crazy. I wasn't crazy. I'm not crazy. I wasn't crazy then, and I'm not crazy now. but to understand the symptoms of my own consciousness, what was going on inside of me, I had to read these books. I had to study them very deeply. Ordinary books did not explain. Ordinary psychology, ordinary yoga, ordinary anything. Even my godbrothers, other devotees who were supposed to be advanced, they couldn't explain. They couldn't understand. They were giving wrong answers. So I had to go back to the original source. I had to go back to the scriptures, back to the ancient writings. So similarly, when I was in that situation back in the 1980s, early 80s, 1983, 1984, I was going through a certain process of healing my energies and bringing back all the energy that I had invested in others and bringing it to myself. And that was going on anyway. I needed to do that then. I had to do it. That's what was up. And then I somehow or other got a hold of this book, and it was like describing what was going on in my life. And I was like, oh, really? Here's somebody who's been there. Here's somebody who knows. It spoke to my experience. See? And so then I read on, and I said, oh, here's what happens next, and here's what happens next, and here's what happens next. Oh, great. I think I'll just sit here. So, and exactly what was described in the book is what happened. So, it was very interesting.
And this withdrawing of your consciousness from all these other things and this overcoming the false ego, was that something that just stuck and remained permanent from that point on?
Yeah. Once I reached that point, there was some times of going up and down and, but then after having that huge realization, after that, it was just like, oh, okay. It was Paramātmā. It was Paramātmā. Yeah. There's consciousness everywhere, consciousness in everything. Pure consciousness, complete consciousness. God. It was God realization in the mode of Paramātmā. And then later on I had Bhagavan realization. I had Krishna Darshan. But then there's even more after that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But so you were very clear that there was much more after that, because a lot of people they stumble across some experience like this and they think, oh, this is it.
Oh, the energy. It's all one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, give me some more mescaline.
So it's like, it's very important, I guess, to have like a full knowledge of the spiritual path.
Absolutely important to know the standard Vedic background philosophy. Absolutely important to know Bhagavad-gītā backwards and forwards. Absolutely important. Because without that, these other books don't have a context. They're just little isolated things with no real meaning. Just like we were talking about, well, in the introductory seminar, we're talking about Hatha Yoga. Patanjali wrote his Yoga Sutras in the context of Vedic society, Vedic literature. He wrote it against the background of a standard Vedic philosophy of consciousness. He was not writing in a vacuum. It was not meant to stand alone, not by any means. Just like if you read a book like a computer manual, the computer manual is meant to exist in a certain context, that you have electricity, that you have a dry place to keep your equipment, that you know what a computer is and what it's good for, and you have access to software and so many other things. Those things are assumed to be the context. And without that context, the computer manual is useless, irrelevant, meaningless. And the same is true of any of these mystical writings like Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Secret of the Golden Flower, the book that Damo wrote about Qigong. what was his name? Bodhisattva, Bodhidharma, wrote about Qigong, the muscle changing system, and he wrote another book. These books are meaningless outside of the context of Vedic knowledge. If you don't know what consciousness is, if you don't know that you're supposed to purify your consciousness, if you don't know that there's a goal, a very, very high goal of attaining self-realization, God realization, all of these books are basically meaningless. They're useless. They're just one little isolated piece of knowledge that requires all this other background to be functional, to be useful.